Hello and welcome to Capital Online TV. I'm your host, Unia Amunga. On to the stories making headlines today. President Uhuru Kenyatta will not participate in the presidential debate scheduled for next week. Jubilee Party Vice Chairman David Murathe told Capital TV that the party feels there was insufficient consultation and has taken issue with the show format. The two debates, scheduled for July 10th and 24th, will be held at the Catholic University of East Africa. One of the candidates for the Alliance for Real Change, Abduba Dida, had already moved to court to challenge his exclusion from the race, saying it created the impression that he was a second-class contender. National Super Alliance presidential candidate Raila Odinga has joined President Uhuru Kenyatta in opting out of the presidential debate slated for Monday. Odinga's advisor, Salim Lone, told Capital TV that the notice given to them by the organizers was too short, and as President Kenyatta campaign did, he's taken issues with the planned format. Lone says the proposed format, where all 8 candidates make their presentations at the same time, will not allow for true debate due to the inevitable time constraints. Lone, however, adds that Odinga is keen to debate President Kenyatta one-on-one. A task force established to look into the extension and renewal of land leases has exuded confidence that historical injustices will be addressed by the new land laws. Speaking during the public hearing with the Asian community and Kakuzi communities, the task force chairperson Ibrahim Wadhane expects their recommendations will greatly impact on development applications around the country.
We are totally different because of the mandate. And it's good to point out that there's never, throughout the history of Kenya, there has not been a task force that has been appointed, established to look into the issue of land leases. This is a very unique area, it's a very technical area also. Now, sometimes when you get into working on these task forces, what you do is apply yourself on the job. Once you apply yourself on the job, you get the public feedback, you make your report and recommendations, then you hand it over to the appointing authority. Now the business of the task force is to take into account particularly the recommendations that they make and incorporate that in the report of the task force. Now one cannot at this particular juncture at the task force level go to the level of preempting the actions by the executive, because we are appointed to listen and prepare a report, then hand over the report.
The 11-member team, which was appointed in February on a 6-month mandate, will have to determine whether due process was followed in the renewal of land leases since 2010. At the same time, National Land Commissioner Isaiah Lenachuru said they are finalizing on regulations that will adequately tackle land ownership disputes that remain a time bomb, including affecting investor confidence in the country if not properly addressed.
Now, this regulation will now be able to help us in addressing historical land justice, because they'll be able to inform us and also the people we are going to talk to, those who are complaining, as per what is a historical injustice, how does a problem qualifies to be, what there would be clear criteria of either accepting or eliminating an issue. Then from there, of course, that it translates that if this land has got to do, if this land they are claiming is under leasehold, then what are you going to recommend? Are you going to recommend this land, once the lease is expired, we renew it, or we go to divide this land, share between these people? So the regulation will be able to give us that kind of roadmap.
Barclays Bank of Kenya says no employee will lose their job as the bank closes 7 branches across the country. Speaking to Capital FM Business, the Chief Executive Jeremy Awori says all employees in affected branches will be channeled to other branches and capacities in the bank. This is amidst a voluntary early retirement that was announced last month, targeting about 130 employees.
We've been investing a lot in technology. So what that has meant is as we get those efficiencies coming in, we don't need as many manual processes, which obviously are done by people. So typically what we do is we manage our headcount down by attrition. That way you don't actually end up having to push anybody out. And we've been doing that over the last 3 years. But there reaches a point where the escalation of these alternate transactions has been faster than the attrition rate. Yeah. So in order to be efficient, you also have a responsibility to try and take costs out, because costs in banks are about 50 to 60% of the bank's total costs. Yeah. We've indicated that it will affect about 130 staff. Yeah. And it's those 130 staff, it's throughout the organization. It's not geared at the lowest end of the organization.
Going forward, the firm plans to heavily invest in technology in a bid to compete with a shift in customer needs.
I think the announcement really is a culmination also of the execution of our strategy. As a bank, what we've done is we've been investing a lot in technology and alternate channels, yeah? And that is driven largely by customer need and desire for convenience. So you're looking at increased digital, online, mobile, yeah, and agency. So you'll have seen we've launched agency banking, First International Bank to do so, and we're expanding our agency network. We've upgraded all our ATMs, we've upgraded our internet banking, our mobile banking channels, and we've seen a big shift from about 20-30% alternate channels now to almost 70% alternate channels.
The branches to be closed include Moi Avenue branch, Helsilasi, Wayakiwe branch, Kawangware, Rahim Tula branch, Nakumat Meru branch and Wundanyi branch in Voi. And those are the stories making headlines on Capital Online TV. I'm your host, Unia Amunga. Coming up is a feature on Yatta Canal.
It is not in doubt that with the right plans, a dry area like Machakos can also produce sufficient food. All one needs to do is to have a concrete tactic to access the water for irrigation purposes. Soon, a variety of fruits you may be eating will come from the promised land of Yatta constituency. The Yatta Canal was initially constructed by colonial detainees in 1953, with its water source being Thika River. Though it has been rehabilitated twice since then, the canal was earthened, leading to decades of sluggish flow of water. Illegal diversions by a few individuals resulted in its failure to serve the intended populace.
This canal, it's 58.8 kilometers long. Initially it was earth canal. Although it was recently concreted, lined with reinforced concrete. And then it's serving over 74,000 population, that is of Yatta sub-county, and that 5,000 livestock. This canal is not purely for irrigation alone. It is also supplying water to the areas of Dalani, Kidimani, and Matu town. This is treated water, which you normally supply. However, there is also that component that normally supplies water to farmers that do a lot of farming. One of the core objectives of this project was to increase the water supply, which has already increased in terms of the speed of flow, in terms of the volume of the water. And the other issue was to increase the secondary business, to grow the secondary business. If you move to Matu town right now, the plots, the prices of the plots have already shot up. If you look at the hotels that are coming up, they are already at high cost. Classic hotels. Not to forget the issue also of creating employment. I am telling you that Machakos County can become the food boom of this country. They can produce a lot of food in terms of vegetables, in terms of onions, tomatoes, maize, and everything. If you move along this canal, there is no single vegetable or farm produce that you know in Kenya, including Mera, that is done in Meru. It is still in this canal.
Wakati mwingine tunapanda mahindi sababu ya upate chakula na ya hawa wafanyikazi mpaka sababu na wapa feed lunch. Na hata yako ya mboma, kuku, ng'ombe, mbuzi. Na mimi hulima ng'ombe, mimi nina dairy cows, ninalima. Tukitoa hii mahindi, tuna rotate, crop rotation, tunaweka manyanya, tunaweka hata cabbage. Hata onion, kitunguu inakuwa vizuri sana hapa. Na vitu nyingi, ile vitu yote inahitajika na mtu, masukuma, cabbage, nini, spinach, carrots, hata carrots inakuwa. Ningetaka kuhimiza watu wa Yatta na kwa jumla wa Kidimani, wale wote mtu shamba yake inapitia, mtaro unapitia kwake, wanjitoe ili tutajaribu kulisha inchi. Na kulisha hii location na hii sub-location yetu.
Flower City, located within Yatta constituency, is yet another example. And as established by Capital TV, this potential is poised to be exploited with the rehabilitation of Yatta Canal.
We appreciate that the government came up with preparing things like canals and all furrows, where we diverted water from the main river of Chania, and that's where we got water from, and we benefit a lot. Flowers cannot do without water, and that's the main thing. This investment is helping the community, and we appreciate and we hope that in future also, as we continue growing, the water will increase. Whoever had made the canal will increase the volume and will continue having it adequate to continue growing.
Institutions of learning like St. Mary's Secondary School are also getting their water from the canal.
Before the Yatta Canal was rehabilitated, we as students faced many challenges. There was a lot of time wastage when we were going to Yagoni River to draw water for our own consumption and for the irrigation of farm there. But since the rehabilitation and expansion of the Yatta Canal, we have benefited more. First of all, cleanliness in the school has been improved, and also among the students. We have also been able to plant and maintain over 10,000 trees through the Kazi kwa Vijana initiative.
The government intends to construct the Yatta Dam to ensure a sustained water supply for the community.